Welcome back, everybody. Let's have a look at some of these coins, and we're going to have a look at Matic on this one. So we've got to look at Bitcoin, but before we even do that, we've got to look at two other things just very quickly. I don't want to bore you to death with all this, but the problem we've got in the crypto market at the moment is the fact that we're coupled very much with traditional markets. They seem to be overbought at the moment, and they're coming down. So if you look at the Nasdaq shouldn't really be affected by the economic situation because it's tech stocks, but they're coming down quite dramatically. That's like a 12% drop we've had there over a week's period. Over 7 days, it's been basically going down for 7 days. Basically, 12%. That's pretty big for a major indice, and the main reason is that it's definitely, I would say, overbought at the moment, and a lot of this price has been inflated by the fact that the dollar has decreased. And I'm going to be real brief about this because we do want to look at Matic, but if we just look at this chart, this is the price index of the dollar on the 4 hourly. Okay, so this was the big sell-off that all of us will recognise, that big V shape there. But since that, the dollar has been decreasing in its value, allowing things like the S&P to recover, allowing things like the Nasdaq to recover, and allowing things like Bitcoin to recover. Because a lower dollar value allows for the impression of a healthy market. So, if you want to watch more about that, just look at my previous video on Bitcoin and XRP, and I go into a bit more detail. But we don't really want to look at all of that on this video. I'm sure you just want to learn about Matic. So just to reiterate an overview of what I said about Bitcoin, because we need to know about Bitcoin before we look at Matic. I'm sorry about all this. But the deal is that I'm expecting a pump up and a big dump down, and the reason for that mainly is because yes, we've got nice RSI, we've got a nice MACD, but we've got a horrible looking money flow index, and this is usually a really big sign of when something's overbought. It's definitely got further to go up. It can definitely go up higher, but usually when we get to this level, it's getting a little bit scary, a little squeaky bum time, and then we normally find ourselves dropping if we go much higher than this. And we can get a higher read than that, definitely we can, which is why I'm expecting a pump up before a dump down, and this is what I'm looking to see. The last time we came up to these levels on the money flow index, we saw this. We saw this thing here, which is a big pump up and a big dump down. Super wicks to be liquidated for, and that's what licks are for. Wicks are there to be liquidated. They're there to liquidate you, and that's what happened over there. And that was as a result of many things, but also the money flow index. There was also definitely what I would see a fair bit of manipulation going on there. So that's the deal we're coming up to, and if we can surpass it and overtake it and be supported on it, 11,250, but that's where I expect we'll see a rejection from, just around that level, 11,250, 11,300, and then probably a dump back down to 10,500. That's right. So what does this mean for Matic? Let's have a look at the Matic chart on its own, and just think about this as a Matic chart. All that stuff that I've just spoken about, it's in the back of my mind, it's there, but let's have a look at the chart, see what the chart says. So the chart in itself is giving us a read similar to that of Bitcoin. We're getting RSI is creeping up. We've got a fresh cross, even though it's below the 0 point on the MACD. Money flow index is actually in a safe position. We're above most moving averages of any significance. So the lowest time frame being the 200 exponential, which we're above, which is good, and also the 10 exponential, also the center of the Bollinger Band on the daily. So this is actually looking okay. It's looking reasonably constructive, and this level that we're at right now, I would expect to see continuation from. This blue box area here is our historical, really strong areas of support. The lowest point being 1.85 cent, and the highest area being 2 cent. And we spend a lot of time, over the last few months, coming and dipping down into these areas, being bought back, and then having rallies and being supported above, and then coming back down, being bought back up, being supported upon, having little rallies, dumping back down, coming back up, being supported on, having rallies. So basically we're back into that area, that zone, and it's a reasonably safe zone for Matic, to be honest. It's a reasonably safe area, and buybacks below this blue box almost always get bought back up. These are quite aggressive because we never normally saw candle bodies closing beneath it, so that was quite dramatic, but again bought back up and now closing above, so it's all looking quite good. And there's a lot of people obviously like to call Matic a scam. It's crypto, it's not a scam, it's cryptocurrency. This is what it does. It looks crazy. It's never a scam when you're on the right side of it. It's always a scam when you're on the wrong side of it. And we've seen some real scams recently, haven't we, with things like sushi and actually the deeper you dig into crypto, especially outside of Binance, They're all scams. I mean, look at Ethereum Plus, for instance, massive scam. There are some real scams out there. This isn't a scam. It's just a highly volatile cryptocurrency, right? Highly volatile, and I suppose I can understand why people get upset with that, because people obviously bought up here. They had to, otherwise no one would have sold up here. You know, you bought here, someone bought here, and someone sold here, which meant that somebody was lucky and somebody was unlucky. That's the nature of the beast. It's the nature of the beast with everything, even the Nasdaq, even the S&P. It's the nature of the beast. In order to get the money, in order to make money out of this, you're taking somebody else's money. Somebody who's poorly advised, not cut out for any of this, and you're basically taking their money. So the idea is to not be one of those people. The idea is to take the money off them. I know it sounds awful and immoral and unethical, but that's the way it works. So it's not a scam. Okay, it's trading, okay, and if you just got to be on the right side of it. So the right side of this at the moment would be to see if we bounce from this centre of this Bollinger Band, and if we get supported on here and we actually find a bounce, that would be good. But bearing in mind what I said about Bitcoin, Bitcoin seems to be taking the lead for a lot of these pumps at the moment. There's the altcoins have been completely demolished. Some of them losing half of their value, and if we look at the way that Matic's moved, it's lost a considerable amount of its value from just about a month ago. We're back down to what I would generally call as the safety zone. But like I say, if we get the dump that I'm prophesizing, which isn't a massive dump, but it's a reasonable one, bringing us down to around about 10,500 on Bitcoin, then yeah, we'll be back down and below this area here, being brought back up, back into the safety zone. So it might be worth, and I'm not a financial advisor, so I'm not advising you in any way, but for me personally, this being on my radar at the moment, back down at the safety zone is always a nice place to be looking to buy Matic, because like a magnet it gets drawn back up into this area. Even if we break down and close beneath it, like we saw in these few candle bodies, which is a bit of an anomaly. We have wicks down here, you know, quite a lot of the time, and even going back here, you can see that this area has been support and resistance before it breaks and becomes support, which is where we've spent a long period of time now, several months, dancing around. You could argue that it's all accumulation. The money flow index and the MACD and the RSI are messy around this area, and so it doesn't look like a period of accumulation, but you could treat it as such in a way, because it's such a strong area. Now, unless everything falls from, you know, into the depths of hell, we will be okay buying below this level and expecting a pump back up to at least 2 cents and maybe above. And there's always that chance that something special is going to happen with Matic, but we're looking at this chart right now and we don't see anything like what we saw previously when we traded this level here. If we look at the MACD here, we saw a real period of accumulation. Let's have a look here. So this is when we really capitalized big time on Matic. We saw a real period of accumulation, basically trading, everything going flat, all moving averages converged together in a big technicolor rope, and then that was the opportunity really. When we finally made that cross here, we knew that something special was going to happen. And most of us around this level, on this channel anyway, I know, and on my Telegram, we were buying at these levels all the way around this level, and we did very well out of that, didn't we? We did very well, pretty much getting a 3, some people getting a 4x out of that. So what does this mean for us now? Basically what I've said. I mean, we're still beneath the 0 point. We're still, you know, in not bearish territory, but we don't want to really buy at this level unless you're willing to risk a bit more. The risk to reward ratio at this level is higher than it would be down at these levels, because these levels have shown us that we get sucked back up, and any opportunity for a pump at these levels. Now it's looked relatively strong. I thought that we were going to be brought back down within the blue zone, so it's stronger than I thought it was going to perform. It's definitely done better than I thought it was going to do, but the rejections are still quite hefty. Rejection on that one there, rejection here, and we're having a bit of a red day. But because we are the weekend and it looks like some of these alts are rallying today, and I do think that Bitcoin has got a bit further up to go before it dumps down, I think that we're likely to bounce on this level exactly where we've been basically rejected from at this second, which is the centre of the Bollinger Band, and at the same time just beneath that is the 10 exponential coming in at 2 cent 0.56, and then beneath that, ever so slightly beneath that, is the 200 exponential. So there's a lot of strong support beneath us, plus we got the blue box beneath us. So actually, you know, The risk to reward ratio is higher at this level than it would be down here, but it's still looking relatively strong just because we've got a really super strong area of support just beneath us, and it could give us that little bit extra that we need if there was a dump. And it looks like I say, the risk to reward ratio is not great. I'd say there's a 65% chance that we will move up from here. I couldn't tell you how far we'll move up. These rejections at these levels are quite significant, so maybe we could move up to as much at the best to around 2.2 cent, which isn't a massive gain, but it's an alright one. It's 7%, so that's not too bad. That could happen, but I don't think we'll find ourselves going much further than that on this occasion. I think we'll find a rejection and maybe test these levels again a few times before maybe eventually breaking it. But again, I am quite bearish overall on traditional markets, quite bearish on Bitcoin, but I still think there's going to be another pump across the board before it dumps, and especially as it's the weekend. But the biggest move is going to be the dump in my opinion, so it's always worth being very careful, and I'm being very careful as well. Anyway, thank you for watching. I hope you have a nice weekend. Excuse me. Hope you have a nice weekend. Take it easy. Thanks for watching.